Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. To those who are celebrating, Happy Lunar New Year. Today we will be talking about a boy who tragically lost his mother and then avenged her death more than 2 decades later. Zhang Koukou was born on January 6, 1983 in Shanxi province, northwest China. He was a normal boy who lived a normal life with his mother, father, and sister. Their way of life was simple yet happy. Now, just like every other family, they did encounter challenges here and there, but they were able to get by just fine. Ku was a normal boy living a normal life. He actually excelled in school and was a very good son. He had a very close and tight-knit relationship with his family, but was especially close to his mother, and he was actually a mama's boy. Both Mr. and Mrs. Zhang worked hard to be able to feed their children and keep them in school. But despite all of these hardships in life, they were very happy with the life that they were living. However, their simple and quiet life changed for the worse in August 1996, when Mrs. Zhang got into a fight with their neighbors. She got into an argument with the Wang family from their neighborhood. Now, it was said to be over trivial matters and was just a verbal argument at first, but things soon started to get heated up even more, and from a simple argument, it became a full-on physical altercation. Now, the Wang family who were involved in this argument was comprised of 3 brothers and their dad. I'm not sure where the mom is, if she's alive, she's present in their lives, but Mrs. Zhang got into a fight with the Wang siblings, 3 Wang brothers, and their father. So one of the brothers, Wang Zhengjun, he was somehow able to get hold of a huge stick, and he used this to hit Mrs. Zhang directly on the head. Now, Mrs. Zhang was, of course, badly injured with blood trickling down her nose and the corner of her mouth. She succumbed to her injuries on that very evening. Sadly, she died in the arms of her beloved 13-year-old son, Ku, and not only did she die on the side of the road, but the autopsy was also strangely performed right then and there, with hundreds of onlookers to witness the whole ordeal. So of course, that was very traumatic for the whole family, but it greatly affected Ku. Out of the 3 family members left, Ku was the one who was the most devastated by this because, as I've mentioned, he was a mama's boy. Now, the neighbor, Wang Zhenjun, was only 17 years old at the time, confessed to what he did. And according to him, that it wasn't his intention to end Mrs. Zhang's life and that he only acted out in defense. He says that it was her who started the physical altercation when she spat on his little brother Xiao Jun. Zhang Jun was then arrested, but because of his age, he was only 17, he was a minor, he only received a 7-year sentence for intentional injury. And he was asked to pay 9,600 yuan or 1,150 US dollars for compensation. And of course, even though an arrest was made, this still took a large toll on the family. They didn't feel like justice was served because, as I've mentioned, Zheng Jun was only sentenced to 7 years in prison. Other than that, this also left a huge devastation in the family because now, not only did they lose the matriarch of their family, they were also suffering financially because Mr. Zhang was now single-handedly raising 2 children on a very low income. Despite performing well in school and having the desire to finish his studies, Ku was sadly left with no choice but to drop out of school due to their family's situation as well as the economic decline that was happening in China during that time. He then joined the army in South China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, probably not. However, he did join the army when I think he was 18, and he became a very accomplished soldier. Now, he did great in the army. He loved what he was doing, but he wasn't really extremely happy because he kept on thinking about his mom, and his life definitely felt empty and purposeless at this point. But despite his unhappiness during his service, he was able to make great contributions to his country. And after years of serving in the military, Ku retired and worked in different places such as Guangzhou, which is a big city in the Guangdong province of China, and he also worked in Argentina. I'm not sure what type of work he did in those places, but it's still the same thing. He wasn't feeling full, he still felt empty inside, and he always had this feeling of sadness and depression. Sometime in 2017, Ku decided that he would return to his hometown in Hanzhong where his father was, and this time it would be permanent. And although he was now back home, he still felt that emptiness and longed for his mother. 2 decades after his mother's untimely death, Ku was still deep into this depression. Now, he wasn't sad. This is a very sad thing, but he never received help, therefore he wasn't officially diagnosed during this time. But he never really got over what happened in 1996. And at this point, it had almost been 22 years. And the longer he spent time in their family home, the angrier he got by the minute. And this did cause some concern with his father. However, no one was actually able to anticipate what would happen next. In early 2018, Ku discovered that Wang Zhengjun, the man responsible for his mother's death in 1996, was actually planning on returning to their village for Lunar New Year festivities, specifically to celebrate the Spring Festival. Upon learning this, Ku started to plan out his revenge. His mind went into a spiral unbeknownst to anyone. And this is when he came up with the plan on how he could finally avenge his mother's death. Now, on February 15th, 2018, on the eve of Lunar New Year, Ku patiently waited, then followed Zhengjun and Xiaojun, the two brothers who were involved in the physical altercation with their mother back then. They followed them home, and catching them completely off guard, Ku started stabbing these brothers. Both of them died on the spot, receiving injuries on their necks, chests, and stomachs, indicating that this attack was clearly a crime of passion and that it was very personal and fueled by hatred. But Ku wasn't done here. He proceeded to sneak into the Wang residence, and there he found Wang Zixin, the 70-year-old patriarch of the Wang family. He brutally murdered him as well, the same way he did his sons. And after he made sure that he was also dead, Ku then set fire to Xiaojun's car before fleeing the scene. Now finally feeling a sense of fulfillment in his life, Ku later surrenders himself and confesses to the police 2 days later. He was filed with cases of intentional homicide and destruction of property. He was later sentenced to death under the Chinese criminal procedure law. During his trial, he said that he had no regrets on what he did and that he was happy that he was finally able to avenge his mother's untimely death. Now, he also said that his actions were caused by pent-up anger towards the Wang family that he's had in him, deep within him for the past 22 years, and that he finally got justice that his mother actually deserves, not the 7-year sentence that Zhang Jun received in 1996. It was also mentioned that his resentment against the Wangs only grew deeper throughout the years every time he'd see them around their village, walking around as if they did not affect or cause pain towards any other family. The Wangs acted like everything was normal and that no other family was struggling because of them. And Ku definitely hated how happy and successful they became after the incident. He felt like they did not deserve any of this and that they should suffer just like them. According to Ku, it seemed as if the Wangs did not feel sorry for causing or having any involvement in his mother's death, and instead of feeling remorseful, they treated and looked at the Zhang family with hostility instead. And although the story touched the hearts of the general public, it did not change the fact that Ku did commit a triple murder or a triple homicide. On July 17th, 2019, Ku was executed. He was only 36 years old. None of the articles I read stated how the execution was performed, although I did learn that the capital punishment in China uses lethal injection as its sole method of execution. Honestly, this case was very difficult to research because the multiple articles and blogs that I read seem to have been copied and pasted or just paraphrased from one another. Also, there's not a lot of photos. I did not find any photos of Ku's family members or the Wangs. It was just Ku himself. That's why I wasn't able to show a lot of photos. Also, this was a very confusing case as I had so many mixed emotions during the whole time that I was researching this, honestly. That yes, I know he did commit a triple homicide, a triple murder. However, I do feel sorry for Ku and his family because, in my opinion, he is also a victim here. It's just sad that he did not get the help that he needed, especially when he was serving in the army. I think all of this would have been prevented if only he had gotten help for his mental issues or his mental health. At first, I thought it was only me who felt sorry for Ku. However, I did learn that this also sparked a debate amongst the Chinese public because a lot of people felt sorry for him as well, while the other half saw him just as a killer. Understandably, the Chinese public had very conflicted opinions, especially regarding the capital punishment that he received. Personally, I feel really sorry for him and his family, especially his dad and his sister who now lost two of their family members, Ku and his mother. I know what it feels like to lose your mother, and it's the worst feeling in the world. It's just a feeling of complete emptiness that you will never ever move on from. I remember when my mom died, one of my dad's friends told him that when you lose someone you love, you get a tiny hole in your heart. And as time passes by, this hole, it doesn't close up. Instead, it gets bigger and bigger the more that you are longing for this person. And that is true. And I guess this is what happened to Ku, plus all that trauma from when his mom died in his arms when he was only 13, and having to quit school because of financial difficulty. I just can't imagine what he was going through. And he was going through it alone, sadly. However, this longing and this desire for justice doesn't justify the fact that he did kill an entire family, and of course, he received punishment for that. I just feel sorry for him because he's not only the perpetrator in this. Both of them actually. Ku and Zhengjun, they're both victims and perpetrators in this story. It's crazy how life works. And what's sad is that before his execution, his dad kept on crying and shouting, asking and begging for them not to kill his son, for his son to not get the capital punishment. His dad said that you can have him stay in prison for the rest of his life, but please do not execute my son. In Mr. Zhang's mind, his son definitely deserved a lighter punishment as he was only trying to avenge his mother's death. And chillingly, when his father was begging and pleading, Koo just looked at his father and said, "Dad, it's okay." I guess knowing that he will be executed gave him comfort, knowing that he will soon reunite with his mother. I want to know your thoughts. Do you feel sorry for him or not? And I guess this is where I'll end today's video. I hope you guys found that interesting. If you enjoy this type of content, I upload a true crime get ready with me every Tuesday. Also, all of my sources as well as all of the products that I use will be linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on my next video.